Hey, this is Cole again, and it was Sunday, so I went out to do deliveries, and I realized, wait a minute, the malls aren't open right now. The malls are closed because of church. So I was thinking about um, the different things that I do, and filmmaking now is something I depend on, just as I did with music, and I do with music now. I think with music, I don't think it has to do with show business. I don't think it ever did. I think I picked up the guitar when I was 17. So I got in the theater department too when I was around 17. And this girl named Marcy had this little guitar. It was a Martin. And it had a broken six string. It wasn't really the six string that was broken, but it was the tuning thing on the guitar, on the head of the guitar. It was a little tiny, it was bent a little bit. So you could never tune the sixth string perfectly on this one guitar. So her dad, Marcy's dad, did not want the guitar. So Marcy used the guitar in a lip sync because in our theater class we had to learn to lip sync perfect. That was the first thing we learned, to lip sync. So my drama teacher, John Templin, taught us to lip sync first. And many drama classes may do this. So you listen to the song that you love. It could be Frank Sinatra, Stephen Patrick Morrissey. It could be David Bowie. It could be Jay-Z. It doesn't matter. I always use Jay-Z for my hip hop reference. It could be anybody. So you lip sing it, and you're not singing, but you lip sing, and then you perform before an audience. So the audience is sitting there, and then you're lip singing, and you can do anything. It can go anywhere. It's like a play. It's amazing. It's a form of pantomime. But that was the first thing that we did, and Marcy brought in a guitar to do some song. I don't know what song it was from. And she did a lip sync to it. She was this quiet, kind of chubby girl that everybody kind of liked. She was really nice and quiet. She reminds me of my second wife. So the story of that guitar is an interesting story, because it ended up in New York. So it was a little Martin, and a guy named Travis McKnight and his brother Jordan McKnight, who were also performers at that time, were in the theater department, got a hold of the guitar from Marcy. They Marcy didn't said Marcy said, "Look, my dad doesn't want this guitar. He was going to throw it away. That's why I used it in this lip sync, and I don't really want it because you can't tune the E string on it." So this is probably a story that's been going around many different high schools, many different uh, little worlds out there, little different communities. So she said, "I don't want this guitar." So my friend Travis got it and then gave it to his brother Jordan. And Jordan, who was a very unique cat, had a very unique voice, took it home with him and began writing with the guitar. He was a poet. He still is a poet. Um, and he just had the guitar for a while. He was also reading Jordan at the time was reading a biography on Bob Dylan. And I think I went over to Travis's house. Travis and Jordan were brothers. And I went over to Travis's house, and I said, Travis, I it was your brother here, Jordan. I wanted to see Jordan. I walked in. There was the guitar. I was there for the guitar. Of course, also to see Jordan and stuff. Jordan was a good friend of mine. We were big William Burroughs fans, Beatnik fans, and things like this. And there's, his biography of Bob Dylan against the wall, and there was the guitar laying there, and there was his journal, and he was writing. Jordan had a lot of problems. He was once hooked on heroin, or he told everybody he was once, and he tried to kill himself one time. One of his first girlfriends that he got pregnant, and he tried to kill himself, and he sliced his wrist, and he went into a closet and went to bleed to death. And his girlfriend found him and then stitched him up or something. They didn't even go to the hospital. It wasn't that serious, but he was doing the whole pretend suicide thing, which is a serious thing in high school. This was before this incident with the guitar. So I went in to see the guitar, and there was Jordan writing, composing. His brother could play guitar too. I think they ended up getting a guitar later, their own guitar. So I looked over to Jordan. I said, I said, Jordan, wow, I had to get a hold of that guitar. Because we didn't have money to go into a pawn shop and buy our own guitar. If we got a hold of a guitar, we could share that guitar maybe as friends, and maybe I could have it for a few months, then he could have it for a few months, and we'd all take turns with his guitar. So I asked Jordan, I said, Jordan, um, can I have the guitar for a while? You know, like you would a brother, because we were friends. His last name was McKnight, so he was Irish. I have half Irish on me. So on my mom's side, it's Mitchell. So it's Irish on mom's side. And my dad's side is Spivey, which is English. And Jordan said, yeah, you can borrow it. It wasn't his guitar to lend out. It was Marcy's anyway. He got it off Marcy. Marcy gave it. So I think what had happened was I went ahead and borrowed it. And I went to Marcy and I told Marcy, I said, Marcy, I'm borrowing your guitar now. It was kind of like a person. The guitar was like a person, you know, like a child. The guitar was like a child. It was a very important thing to all of us. And Marcy said, that's fine. You can borrow it. It's not mine. I don't, we're going to throw it away. I gave it to Jordan or whatever. So I kept it. I think throughout the year. Finally, Travis came over, Jordan's brother, to reclaim the guitar because they had already stole it from Marcy. It was a stolen guitar from Marcy's dad. I think he was a doctor. I don't know. He was a rich guy. He was one of those Paschal fathers in the TCU area. So Travis, Jordan may have been outside at the time. Travis came in to my room to get the guitar. I knew it was up. I've been playing it nonstop all the time, just messing around with it. This is kind of a Bruce Springsteen story. So, so Travis walks in. I'll get my guitar. This is another guitar that I got. And this is not the actual guitar. And I had the guitar like this, and I think I was probably doing this. I was like, I think I was doing like, yeah, I was doing that. Probably that's what I was doing. Which was my little warm-up that I made up. Later I learned the proper warm-up. But I was playing with the guitar. And then I think I leaned back and I was like, just let me do a couple of more chords. So I went like, you know, and I did a couple of chords and I said, hang on, just a few more, you know. He was still in my room. I was trying to show him that I was playing. And then finally Travis goes, you know what? You're just going to keep the guitar for now. Just keep it for now. You can hang on to it for a little longer. And I hung on to that guitar for about 10 years. And I kept it at my mom's house. I don't know why. I ended up getting another guitar. I got one from my first brother-in-law, and I went to my first brother-in-law's wedding, which was my sister's first wedding, and he lent me his guitar. And I think I had that guitar for about I don't know, like 5 years or so. And that one was a good guitar. It had a strap, and his name was Kevin. And he said to me, he was my sister's first husband, and they had a child together and everything. And it was his guitar, and he told me it had a strap, and he told me, listen, you borrow this guitar as long as you want. It's your guitar. You you can keep it as long as you want. Um, and I did. I kept it. I think I kept that guitar throughout the time I left to. It was very weird. I left to Los Angeles. I took it with me to Los Angeles when I was 27. When I tried to first time I tried to break into Hollywood. I got there and I had the guitar with me. I'd go home and the guitar was like kind of like a friend you'd go home to, and then you could pick up the guitar, and you're like, "I have you again. We're going to write a song." So I kept that guitar for a while, just almost like a pet. And I think I kept the guitar until finally I flew off to New York. I didn't take it with me when I went to New York because I left it in my car, which I left my car in a basement in a hotel in Long Beach, where my mom later came in with her husband, my stepdad, and they drove it back home, drove the car back home with some of my stuff in it, and the guitar was in there. But I did fly over to New York, and I studied at the Actor Studio for a while, and I was studying acting, and I had my mom send me that Martin guitar that Jordan had given me, and that Marcy had given to Jordan in that story. And that guitar was sent by the mail to me when I was living in Manhattan, in Gramercy Park. So I had that guitar, and I still couldn't tune it. So it was no use to me, because I knew then what a tuned guitar sounded like because of Kevin's guitar, which was a very good guitar. The broken guitar, which is what the story is, was delivered to me in Manhattan, and I didn't feel it was good enough because I thought maybe I'd play in a coffee bar while I was in New York. So I wanted to get a really good guitar. So I think it was around Christmas time, or it was my birthday, and I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, listen, I'm going to a guitar shop in New York. It's in the Bowery or something." I said, I want to get a guitar. It's about $200. Would you help me out?" I believe she did, and she sent me a check or something. I went into a guitar shop for about $200, and I bought this in New York, which is an Oscar Schmidt. This is an Oscar Schmidt classical guitar. This is the one I've had since 2001, right around 9/11. I bought this after 9/11. So I had the one that wasn't tuned, and when I left New York, I left in 2002. I left New York. I put the Jordan's or Marcy's guitar in a storage unit along with a journal that I had written about the assassination of John Lennon. That was later turned into a movie with Jared Leto called Chapter 27. I came up with that title, but any other writer could have done that. But I left that in a journal with the old guitar, a Martin, and I don't know what happened to the Martin. I'm sure it's somewhere, or someone got it, so it's no big deal. But I didn't really want the Martin because it was broken. But I took the Oscar Schmidt with me, this one. I took it back with me to Euless, and I began playing and playing and playing like crazy. Somewhere in that time, Elliott Smith had killed himself, I found out. And I didn't know much about Elliott Smith at that time. I learned all of this later. And I was playing my guitar like crazy in Euless. And I've been playing the Oscar Schmidt for 20 years. I've had that guitar for 20 years. I got in New York. That's the story of that guitar and of the broken guitar. Now, the broken guitar did end up in a storage unit in New York, and I ended up selling that storage unit and getting rid of it. And then journals and stuff like that were in it from the Actor Studio. There are only a few journals that were there. I had gotten the computer out of that storage unit and some other important things that I took back with me to Texas. I even flew back right after 9/11 to get some of that stuff. It was really scary going over where the World Trade Centers were, and you could see the hole in the ground and flying over in a plane. Just this devastation, huge hole, two holes in the ground. And I came in, I remember picking up my computer, and two of my friends saw me as I was leaving the Actor Studio. or leaving the MFA program, the New School University, the actor studio, the one with the inside the actor studio with the students and everything from the New School University. And I was leaving it, and Alok and Modi, who I think Modi now is a stand-up comic. I'm not for sure. I don't know what happened to Alok. He was from the Middle East, and Alok saw me with Modi, and Modi I think was from Coney Island. And they said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm leaving. I'm going back home. I'm going, I got a job at 7-Eleven, which I no longer work for, but I had went back to Euless, or I went to Euless to live in an apartment. And I left New York, and I took my computer and the guitar and everything. And they said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, for now I'm going to work for 7-Eleven, but I'm going to stay with acting." And little did I know that I wrote these books, and I stayed playing the guitar and everything, because I really kind of just consider myself an actor that plays guitar. I don't really consider myself a guitarist, not really even a musician, really. I play, I can try to do it. And I've been writing these songs like crazy. I think I have like 300 songs on my SoundCloud, so I guess I am a musician. But I don't consider myself really that. I consider myself an actor that plays guitar at times. But it's an interesting story, because these guitars float around the world, and they come into people's lives and they leave people's lives. Ultimately, I think what we are is, we're all storytellers. We're all kind of writers in one way or another. We have to be that to exist. But the story of the broken guitar is what this is going to be entitled. And it's a good story, because it's a story of friends, and it's a story about a love for something, a love to tell a story, to be beautiful, to be able to sing, a love to communicate with other people. And it's about loss, because I lost the broken guitar and I earned a better one, and I was able to continue to do this. And I do love playing. I was just playing Riot Spray, another song that I wrote, inspired by Fred Armisen and Portlandia. But I think the guitar players out there and the musicians out there know this story in one way or another. And look on my SoundCloud and listen to Riot Spray. I've got a really good version of it. And I talk about I do a lot of name dropping, just like Mark Kozelek from Sun Kill Moon. Like, I talk about Seinfeld, and I talk about Elliott Smith and Daniel Johnston, and it's kind of a little punk in a way. I guess I have like an acoustic punk sound. I guess if it was electric, it would sound punk. But I'm inspired by punk, but I'm not trying to be punk. I don't think I'm inspiring to be punk. I'm inspiring to be folk. Even though, Beck created the anti-folk movement, I'm inspired to be folk, to be like a folk singer. I like Cat Stevens. I like Bob Dylan. I like guys like that. Elliott Smith I thought he was folk, but I guess he was grunge folk or something. I don't know. Putting genre on music is different, because I even like jazz and even classical stuff. One song that I can still play is I need to practice this. Anyway, it's part of Green's Leaves. It's anyway, it's kind of hard to play, but you can't really see it. one of those ones that you can play over and over again. It's good for warming up, but it's green sleeves, green sleeves. I'll have to practice it. I don't practice it all the time. It's kind of my warm up song, but it's Green Sleeves is a song about the Renaissance. I think it's tied to King Henry VIII. But anyway, that's the story of the broken guitar.